Hello and welcome to the Justin Hamilton podcast. On today's episode, Tegan Higginbotham returns to discuss everything that happened at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. She and Adam and Liam had an incredible run with their trio Watson. And as you may know from previous episodes, Tegan is returning to the world of stand-up comedy. And so it feels like a good time to be checking in with her, seeing the difference in the way things are being approached, what she's learned from it. And she talks about one of her favorite shows at the festival. And I actually talk about a fantastic show that I saw recently. So there's much to discuss in this new episode. Just a quick reminder, if you are listening to this early in the morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you have a couple of hours to sign up to my newsletter. The next one will be dropping at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, it is a fortnightly newsletter, which allows me to overcome the algorithms and speak directly to you. The latest one has a movie suggestion, a TV suggestion, and has a link to an interview that you might enjoy, and also has the opportunity to save some money on live events that you may be coming to your city, especially Brisbane. I have a new show turning up in Brisbane on the 18th of June. So if you would like to get in early and save some money, head to my website, justinhamilton.com.au, sign up for the newsletter. Keep an eye out for the confirmation email. Sometimes it goes to the spam site. But once you've signed up, you too will be able to access some of the discounts that are there for the Brisbane show and for other upcoming shows as well. I'll jump back on at the end of this podcast, but for now, let's bring in Tegan Higginbotham. Tegan Higginbotham is back to discuss all things comedy, especially her experiences at the 2026 Melbourne International Comedy Festival. From the rumours I've heard, one of three people who had a good time. But before we jump into that, we are recording on May the 4th. It is Star Wars Day. Someone who is, for the most part, Star Wars agnostic. I have to say... I'm curious to know, who are your favorite Star Wars characters and why are they everyone in Andor?
Yeah, I mean, I can't swim. How amazing that those three words can't, I'll consider that one. It still resonates so deeply. But you're forgetting Mando. There's no Mandalorian in Andor, and he's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Han Solo is not in Andor. And he's definitely a favorite as well. But no, I mean, Jesus, Andor. The people who don't get it, I struggle to maintain a relationship with. I
just can't agree more.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've tried. I get about a minute into being like, yeah, but did you get up to this? Did you? And if they watch the whole thing and just didn't rate it, nah, you're not my person.
Absolutely not. And I think this is a really fair reason to realize that someone just doesn't deserve as much as your time. I was talking to a fairly prominent comedian that I've known for a long time that I like very much. And
I will say.
No, it wasn't Will. I wouldn't even bother with Will. He doesn't like anything set in space. He doesn't like anything set underwater. He doesn't like anything set in a world war. He doesn't like history. He doesn't like subtitles. There's not much he likes in movies. He likes The Dark Knight. That's about it, I think.
Yep.
But
okay.
No, so I'm halfway through season 2 rewatch of Andor, which just happened. I don't know why this happened. I just was tired one night, felt like I wanted to watch something that I know. I thought I'll put on the first episode of Andor, and here we are. And I was talking to this person, and they said, which season? I said, I'm just starting season 2. And he went, oh, what a terrible season. Like, obviously they just rushed it because they had plenty of time to work on the first season and then rushed a second season. And, my son and I, we just watched it at 1.5 speed because nothing was happening. Like, what was going on with that wedding? Like, that went for the whole season. And I was like, I feel like you are, for a technically smart person, I think you are emotionally bereft of any depth, and I will never discuss anything with you again.
What do you mean? mean they watched it? They sped it up.
And what do you mean nothing happened?
Oh my God.
And also there was nothing like, they had 5 seasons planned and realized that at the rate they were going, Diego Luna would be 78 by the time they finished the final season. So that second season, it's like 4 movies split up into 3 bits. Like I've just finished the moment where Bix gets her revenge, blowing up, and Andor blows up the building, and Claire has just stolen the little device they have been listening in on conversations. Do you remember that scene with? Anyway, I think all of my favorite characters, I love Han, I love Mando as well, but I think all of my favorite characters from Star Wars are literally Luthen, Andor, Saw Gerrera, Claire.
It's just amazing that they were able to reshape it in such a way. No, it's not really reshaping. They were just able to bring an entirely different flavor and a new level of depth and prestige into Star Wars. It's really interesting. Paul and I have recently started watching ER. We just stumbled upon it. I was just doing that thing, scrolling through Netflix. The only thing I knew about ER was it was George Clooney's breakthrough sort of role. So I was like, oh, okay, I'd like to see where Baby George started out. So I watched the first episode, and it's amazing. It's
so good.
Everybody talks about the first episode of Grey's Anatomy. Everybody's read that script. I get it. I get what Shonda did there. But the first episode of ER, oh my God. But there is a subtlety to ER. There are so many things that when you pull them apart, you're like, oh my God, that's so smart.
Yeah.
There was a character who was insane, and everything he was pitching at them was actually the sanest stuff they'd heard all day. But then he's dragged back into and any other show would sit there and be like, isn't it interesting that the character that was insane was the one saying it? But they don't do it. They just let you walk away going, oh my God. There was a subtlety. It knew how good it was, and it allowed itself to be subtle in its brilliance. And I don't think a lot of television shows do that these days. I would argue that Andor does.
That's a really interesting point about ER. I think also, I think kind of what you're getting at is another aspect of what you're getting at is the creators respected their audience to be able to work it out, to be able to, fit the pieces together and be able to understand where the story's at, and also not forgetting that a TV show doesn't need to just be plot heavy. Character can be plot as well, and their reactions to things are part of the plot. It's not just people saying things so you can get to the next pew 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 moment, and it's
absolutely
like the pain on Guinevere Riley's face when she offers her daughter a way out of that marriage, and her daughter rejects her, rejects the offer, but also rejects her mother, and the pain on her face, and then the moment when she turns around and her daughter's about to walk out first, and if this is how it's going to be, and she says, no, you will walk behind me, and then that whole episode finishes with her dancing, because she knows her oldest friend is about to be assassinated. And also, here's the other thing. How many science fiction shows get space music right? Like that song that she dances to at the wedding's a fucking banger.
I'll have to go back and listen. I can't rightly recall it off the top of my head. But yeah, just giving your audience the credit, understanding that they'll get it, not needing to spell it out, not needing to reset the plot every 7 to 8 minutes, as we've discussed. It's rare, and it's a very beautiful thing. And if you don't get it, maybe I don't know.
You don't deserve it.
Maybe you don't deserve it.
You go back to the pew pew stuff. Anyway, it's interesting. One of the things I rail against in modern entertainment is that people have society's been kind of essentially dumbed down by people in charge not treating their audience with respect. And I think we've hit a point in 2026 where decades of reality TV and being given slop is starting to really manifest itself in what people can focus on and what people can engage with. And I saw a stand-up show on Friday night that I really loved. I thought it was like one of the best stand-up shows I've seen in a long time. But there was something structurally fascinating about it, Tegan, which was there was a really good 15, 20 minutes of stand-up at the start,
Mm-hmm.
and then it felt like the show began. And I was
Mm-hmm.
talking to someone in the uh, uh, production side of comedy, and she was saying to me that's kind of this new thing where acts feel like they have to front load their show with as many jokes as possible, and then the show begins.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a I personally think this show would have been so much better if the first line was the this is what the show is. And all that material was really good. It could have been woven
Yeah.
in different places. But I'm curious, like with the shows that you saw, what did you notice that was different in your reintroduction to the Melbourne Comedy Festival?
Look, I will first of all come out and say I didn't see nearly as much as I'd hoped. I really focused on my own show for the first 2 weeks and then just got stonkingly sick.
Yeah,
It
that
was
sounds like the
so
Melbourne Comedy Festival.
right, but you forget it, and then I was that sick, and I was like, no, damn it. But I'll talk about Kate Denert's show, Echo, which everybody had been chatting about. I was really lucky one night. She had sold out, and then a seat just became available at the last minute. I felt so privileged to get into that room because it's a monster of a show. It is an energetic, slap you in the face, rip your heart out, then absolutely delight you. It is a monster show, and I just loved it. Kate was really honest up front about the fact that it's one part theatre, one part comedy, one part rave. It is that. That is exactly correct advertising. That is exactly what it is.
Great.
It's probably not the best show to jump off and talk about the structure because it was so unique, and I actually came away respecting it because I don't know how Kate would have worked much of that in during the clubs.
Right.
There weren't really set pieces. There wasn't 20 minutes up the top. Kate walked on stage and the show began and we were in it, and that was it. So that was definitely not a reflection, but I do, and I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Yeah, I can say that in the other ones I have seen the show structure and then the stand-up, and those have felt very separate in some spaces where you've seen the functional, hey, this comedian's got to work, they've got to get that 20 to 30 minutes of gear out of this show, and then you've seen what they've woven it around. I get what that artist was doing, by the way. Are they are they a newer artist?
No. You know what? I love this show so much. I'm more than happy. This is just something I noticed, and is not necessarily a critique, but it was Tom Ballard's new show, which I thought was, I think he is such an exceptional young man, and I've known him since he was a kid, like literally a kid. And, I thought there was a maturity to his show, tackling subjects and subject and topics in a way that I think people have trouble articulating in a one-on-one conversation. And he did it on stage to a big audience. And he, his show kind of revolves around someone filming him doing a routine at the beginning of last year that is making fun of the Victorian laws that came in about, doing a Sieg Heil,
I believe, he does a Nazi salute, or he did it on stage, and it was, I remember he got filmed and completely taken out of context.
And it's a really funny piece, and what he's saying has validity, and it's also what comedy aspires to, what the comedy that I like when it aspires to. It's a bit naughty, and it's also a bit silly while making a point. And he gives a very nuanced response to the person who films it, and he's going to put it up on YouTube, so I don't want to give it away.
Right.
But
I can't wait.
But it's a really respectful response to the person who initially videoed it, and he does take a level of responsibility towards it, while also skewering the way the media came after him, and still be able to articulate his feelings about what's happening in the Middle East, specifically Palestine, and being able to discern between the incredible difference between anti-Semitism and being critical of the Israeli government. Do you know what I mean? And he does this all in the context of a stand-up show that never skimps on jokes. He never there's never a lull in gags, and I just thought it was a pretty extraordinary show. But
Yeah,
I
and the
just
more you... Oh, sorry,
no,
go on.
you go on.
Well, as you explain all that to me, I mean, I haven't seen it, clearly. I look forward to seeing it. Doing 20 minutes of just material up the top, I think that makes so much sense. I think, yes, you absolutely could filter that material throughout the show, but you're coming into an audience, Justin Hamilton, and you know how to be an audience member.
I do.
You are prepped to see a show.
Yeah.
There are people who walk into rooms and they're not there yet.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, the amount of people who I spoke to this year at the comedy festival were seeing their first shows. First shows.
Yeah.
For me, if you're Tom and you're going to dive into that material, I want to make sure that there is at least a 20-minute buffer of settling them in, getting them so they're no longer thinking about work, they're not thinking about this, they're settled in their seats, they're in the dark, they're feeling safe, and then you hit that. To me, now that you say that, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. It is more. I guess what I'm saying is more commentary on audiences than it is the choice. Don't get me wrong. It was 15 to 20 minutes skewering people like Pauline Hanson, so it was still on topic.
Yeah.
It's not like he was, hey, what's up with this? What's up with that? What? And political. It was still very much in Tom's wheelhouse. I guess also what made it really stand out to me was we had a gig together on the Thursday night. So I saw Tom's show on the Friday, and it was one of those gigs where you turn up and you go, oh, why have I said yes to this? I'm not sure. Like this setup. Oh, nobody's paid to get in. Oh, okay. And then it was a gig in Ashfield, and that audience was brilliant. They were locked in. You could change your volume. You could be loud. You could be soft. You could be really quick with lots of jokes. You could change your tempo, and they stayed locked in for the 35, 40 minutes that I did. So it was great. But Tom did, he was in the first half. And so he did the first part of his show, which I didn't realize at the time. So I guess that delineation between that bit opening and the rest of the show was quite pronounced for me. But once again, an observation and not a critique.
May I ask, because you just mentioned something that intrigued me. You were saying that you weren't going to sort of skewer the audience, but is this fueled on... Are you frustrated with audiences lately? Do you think that there is that audiences are failing in some way?
I think there is, as a generalization, I think there has been the deterioration in people's concentration has led to sometimes quite obvious things flying over people's heads. I know we were being mildly comedic about people who didn't like Andor, mildly comedic. But, to have someone say, oh, it's just a wedding and nothing happened for the first for the season. And it's like, the wedding was in the third episode. It was, there was heaps of action. But also there was so much tension and character beats and so many things going on where people had to make choices that would lead to them getting into trouble or people in life or death situations. I can understand someone saying, I'm just not into espionage stuff. And then you go, oh, well, then it's not for you. But to absolutely miss that says to me, you're not really focused. And maybe, how many people, can't read a book anymore, or, they can't let something play out. Like even music, I think the situation we're in now, and I am absolutely guilty of this. If something doesn't grab me in 60 seconds, I'll just skip or move to something else. And I've had to force myself to go, just relax, mate. you can listen to at least all of this song before you
Yeah,
give
yeah.
up on the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, look, the dual screening lack of focus situation, which is, now being recognized as something that is globally affecting all of us. We're all addicted to technology. The big businesses have been aiming to get us addicted to technology. Like, it's
Mm.
such a problem. But it's just interesting. I mean, I've been back in for such a hot second, really not long enough to be able to comment. But I have found that the audiences, to my outside eye, haven't really changed from what I've
Mm.
seen. The audiences are kind of audiences. There's some that are good, there's some that are not so good.
Yeah.
It's been fine. It has been, all of my changes have been from the comedian front, which is
Mm.
why I was so curious to hear your take on it, because, like, oh cool, I'm not feeling that just yet. Keep in
Mm.
mind, the show I just did for Comedy Festival was very high energy sketch. It is literally small bite-sized chunks of comedy that are perfectly designed for a mind with a short attention span. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That's what we just did. But so I haven't done a long form show yet and noticed that, but I have noticed that comedians are changing the industry more so.
Mm. So
And,
you,
and, and that's with things like it's the things that we've spoken about in the past, like the filming of your own stand up to
yeah,
cut it down into bite-sized pieces.
yeah,
That's the comedians doing that. I
yeah.
mean, Tom's show will testify to the fact that some audiences are recording it, but no, that's the comedians going, my work is going to be consumed primarily in 30-second chunks. And
Mm.
further, I'm going to prioritize bits where I'm grappling with the audience. So that's going to
Mm.
encourage a different level of audience interaction that they would have been in the past. But just, hearing about the ways that comedians don't show up at gigs. Most of the gigs I've been to, comedians are showing up really late and not letting
Mm.
the room, like, it's a degradation of the art form. I just can't even believe I said that, but it is. And that's the comedians driving that. That's not the
Yeah,
audience.
yeah. I was suitably chuffed that when Tom Ballard finished his set on the Thursday, he hung around and watched me headline.
Oh, that's lovely.
Like
Because,
it was,
yeah,
but
yeah,
also, you know what it's like. It's part of the fun of that is when he was performing. When he came off, he said, "I could hear you laughing at certain points."
yeah.
And when I was performing, when the audience reacts in a certain way, and I look over and I lock eyes with him, I can give him a head nod that makes him laugh, and because he knows exactly what I'm thinking in that point, and it feels like we're all in this together rather than all these individuals who just happen to stand in approximately the same space roughly around the same time.
Yeah, but it's also that thing, and I totally understand that. And forgive me if we spoke about this already. I'm really bad in this in podcasts, but um, there are those narratives that run across the night, not only because of the comedians and the
Mm,
material, because there's always those beautiful things where it's like, oh God, everybody's talking about the same theme. This is
mm,
fun. I just did a cracking night at the local, where the first three comedians were all talking about Jetstar flights, and it just became this great thing. It was so brilliant. But then now, because everybody is so big on interacting with the audience interaction, and everybody talks to the same three people in the front row.
yeah.
And if you're a comedian who's rocked up late and hasn't heard that we've already spoken to Bob 4 times, and we already know that Bob's a plumber, and yes, he's with the person next to him, but it's their first date, and I don't know if they're going to move in together. Like, we've heard it. We did that already. It's been done already. But
Yeah.
you didn't hear that because you weren't here. So now the audience is like, oh, mate, don't ask Bob again. Poor Bob. And it's just fucked. And I've seen that heaps.
Well, sorry to keep going on about this gig on the Thursday, but because I watched Tom, he laid into this guy, Josh, in the front row, who was a middle-aged man who was a delight. But
Yeah.
Josh was sitting there so it was long tables, so people are sitting on the sides, and he'd turned right around, so he was facing Tom, and his legs were spread. And Ballard, being a hilarious gay man, just made lots of jokes about him presenting himself and blah, blah, blah. And Josh was laughing, and Josh's wife was hiding behind him, and it was funny. So then when I got up, before I even started, I could go, oh, so you turn around, you present to the gay comedian, but you turn around for the heterosexual comedian. Like, I'm really offended by that, Josh. And the audience knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And Josh turned around and spread his legs. I said, "There you go, thank you. I feel like I'm being left out." And suddenly it goes from individuals doing spots to a show.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think so. But that's, once again, that's the artists that are driving that. That's the comedians that are driving that. The audience, from what I've seen, they're coming along for the ride. They want to come along for the ride. You're just hating on the audience.
Well, no, but as I said, this audience in Ashfield, they don't pay, but they sign up and they get in early. And the way they make their money is at the bar and through food sales and everything. And they've been running it for I think maybe a year, maybe 14 months or something like that. And it's pretty much a return audience, and they are locked in.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
they were great. They were really great, and you could have lots of fun with a broad range of people and hit different topics, and everyone was locked in. So, yeah. So I want to speak specifically to you about your run because I've spoken to a few people who performed in Melbourne this year, and I know some people had Ripper festivals, and I know a lot of people really struggled for numbers, even if they were essentially happy with their shows. 800 shows at a festival is so overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I know that you guys had a pretty good experience, and I'd love you to talk us through it.
Look, yeah, it was fantastic. I won't lie. It was the reuniting of myself, Adam McKenzie, and Liam Ryan. We used to perform in a sketch group called Watson many, many moons ago.
Well, sorry, why were you called Watson again? I can't remember.
It was off the back of a Sherlock. The very first show I did with Adam McKenzie was a Sherlock Holmes themed show. It was this show called The Hound of the Baskervilles. I think I was just out of high school. I may have been 17. And when we became a duo, we were just searching around for names, and Watson was just it. And then Liam became a part of Watson many years later. And it's just a very joyous thing for me. We're stupid. We're not cool. It's very naff, but we have a lot of fun together. And so we were back on stage after 8 years. We realized it had been 8 years that we hadn't performed together.
Really?
Yeah, I know. That's what we all thought. Like, what?
Yeah.
And not only that, I mean, Adam and I, as you'll know, we keep in very regular contact. I love Liam Ryan. He is an amazing person. I get along with him like a house on fire. We just stopped contacting each other. Nothing bad happened. Not an ill feeling in the world. It's like life and then COVID just dispersed us. And we all got back together. And I mean, to say that it felt like no time had passed, it was just no time had passed, except that Liam was now shockingly grey. But
happens to all of us, Liam.
Oh man, it was wild. It was just absolutely wild, but it was fun, and I think a lot of things made it great for us. We picked a room with a room organizer, a room runner that we really trusted, Leah Collins, who's been
Leah. Yeah.
Absolutely yonks. Leah set up this room just for festival. It was under the Queen Victoria Women's Centre.
Yep.
It was a bunker, and she turned it into the warmest, loveliest venue that I've ever been in. But it was a small house, and we opted for it because of that. We came back. It's been 8 years. We don't know if we're going to sell, so we went with a small house.
Yeah.
And then we just worked, and things make it easier when you're working in a trio. Suddenly you're pulling on 3 networks of friends and family instead of just the one. That's 3. And then on top of that, I just made it my mission to sell the first week really hard with a mixture of online, just slamming people online, emailing every mailing list that I could sort of think of under the sun. But then I did things like I went around to RMIT, which is a university just near the Queen Victoria Women's Centre. And I put up posters all throughout there and set up a ticketing deal for their students and fly at RMIT. So I tried to do a mixture of old and new styles to see if that would help. And, I think the one thing that was good to see, because so much has changed, but if you do get a run of a few shows selling out at the beginning, you do start to get that word of mouth like you used to back in the day. And that helped them propel the second week.
Okay, great. So what do you think, I'm really fascinated by this. What do you think were the parts that, in the promotion worked really well for you? Like going into RMIT, it seems like a really smart and logical move.
Things that trying to look outside of the box of where everybody else was already flyering or advertising to.
Yeah.
For example, I set up lots of really different ticketing deals so that I could see who was booking from where with codes. And I had some deals that I set up for comedy venues and comedy gigs in particular.
Yeah.
So we'd go and do a gig, have a really great time, then fly people at the end of that gig and say, hey, you can get a certain percentage off if you use this code.
Yeah.
Because of that, I could really track where the best sales were happening.
Yeah.
And the gigs really didn't deliver, which is a shame because if you're a stand-up comedian and you're out gigging heavily in the lead up to the festival, I don't know if the conversion from that to then people seeing your show is going to be as strong as you would hope. It seems logical, but I just didn't see the turnover there.
Interesting, right.
So that one wasn't as good. Whereas, things like I did get quite a few student ticket sales through MIT because, I don't know, they would have had some shows in their orbit, of course. It's festival, they're everywhere. But I made it really clear that this was an RMIT specific student ticket for you. It's yours. You know, those sorts of things helped.
And that was just on posters, or did you go through their mailing list, or
posters and flyers? I couldn't quite get onto a mailing list for them. Oh boy, I wanted to, but I couldn't do that. But yeah, just that was where it was old school. I just went into the city one day with a bag full of thumbtacks, glue tack, and flyers, and just spent the time.
Yeah, right. That's interesting. And so you had different codes for different places.
I just wanted to see where it was all coming from.
Oh, that's so smart.
Even for different podcasts, because I advertised through a couple of different podcasts.
Yeah.
And they had codes specific for their listeners.
Yes.
Just so then I could track it.
Yeah, right. So gigs were, you saw the least turnaround, but
not a big turnover from gigs.
Yeah, but what was it like through the podcasting world?
Yeah, podcasting did really well. Specifically, my husband Paul has a true crime podcast, which is not there's no real link there.
Yeah.
But he actually had a big long chat about the show, so it wasn't an ad per se; it was a real conversation. And I think his followers know that he wouldn't recommend it if it was bollocks. You know, so there's that trust there. So that one went really well. Yeah. The other one that was really good is a trivia night that a friend of ours run. He flyed at his trivia night and handed out a really good discount at the trivia night, and that one went well. Yeah.
Right. Well, once again, with a specific code.
Specific code, and once again, that's not an audience that probably get a show put under their nose so personally.
Yeah.
Whereas, somebody who's at a comedy gig, they're already aware that there's 20 shows out. They're already hyper aware of all the internationals that are out. But at the trivia night, maybe not.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Yeah, well done. That's great.
Yeah, I'm just I wanted to be as specific as possible because I'm doing a show for Fringe this year.
Yeah.
I will not have the backing of Adam and Liam's, considerable network behind me. So this is just me. So I'm a bit intimidated by that.
They'll still support you, won't they?
No, of course they will. That's like they will absolutely. They'll have their backing in every way. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. Time to call in some favors. Make sure those men don't fucking sit on their asses. You know what guys are like.
Yeah, you must be there every night with all of your friends and family. But I just needed to kind of figure out what might work and what mightn't work.
Yeah. I want to get back to Watson. How many shows are you doing during the Melbourne Fringe?
8.
8. Okay, so it's a pretty 4 a week.
Actually, it's bunched up together. Oh yeah, no, about that. Yeah. So apparently, people don't really do a full Fringe run anymore. No. Which I found really interesting because I used to always.
Yeah.
But now, so it's going to be the 8 shows. And I had such a good time at Fringe last year. Melbourne Fringe was fun last year. And the vibe at Trades Hall, I won't be at Trades Hall. I'll be at a place called Theory Bar, which is also an incredible venue. I'm really excited. That's actually where I saw Kate. And she sold me on it, to be honest. I already liked Theory Bar and I really like the person who runs it. But seeing Kate in that space, I was like, oh God, if I could be half as good as you, I definitely want to be here. But yeah, it's a great festival, Fringe.
Okay. I want to get back to Watson. So when you were putting together this show, was there something... What was the impetus? Was it the fact that you guys hadn't done a show together for a while? Was it an idea? Did someone say, hey, I've got this, and then suddenly you realize you're on your way to making a show? How did it all come together?
There was some conversation about whether we just had it as a straight up sketch show without an overarching sort of theme and plot.
Yeah.
I'm sure the guys will be happy to say that I was definitely more kind of pushing that I think that we still needed there to be a story. But that story came to us quite organically. And it was two different things. First of all, the venue that Leah made was brilliant, but very unique. You literally walk down into genuinely, it feels like an underground bunker. And I think to be in a bunker-like space and not wrap that into the theme and feeling of your show felt like a bit of a mistake, especially for us, because we are very in our spaces. And the other thing was that the more we hung out again, the more it struck us as completely bizarre that we had lost 8 years of friendship. So those two things, which the truth of that scenario met with the strangeness of our environment, created our theme, which was that Adam McKenzie had dragged Liam and I into a bunker because he was afraid of the world. Very reasonable. We're all pretty scared right now. And he wanted to lock down with his two best friends.
Right.
That was the sort of the jumping off point. And then the reveal at the end is actually he doesn't think anything's going to happen outside, but he was so sad about losing the friendship that he wanted to trap us there with him so we can't get away again. We can't lose 8 years again. And it became a look at why each of us actually retreated for these 8 years. It wasn't just Adam, but Liam, had kids and got busy and got overwhelmed with work, and trying to find a way back in almost felt impossible. I, was up and down with my work. And when I was in the down moments, I convinced myself that nobody liked me anymore, because that's so, that's what we do in this industry. When we're not working, we lose our identity. So it all just actually, we found tiny little seeds and turned them up, of course. But it happened really organically.
Yeah, right. And they're the best stories, aren't they? Sometimes, I went and did some trial shows in Adelaide, and it was just all random material. But it's interesting the way your mind works. When you looked at it, you went, with a bit of effort and a bit of tweaking, this is a show.
There's something there. And it's, I think sometimes these things, you'll have random material, sure, but all of that material has happened or has come to you at a very specific time in your life. And I think generally there is actually an underlying theme anyway. It just takes sometimes you getting it all out on stage to go, oh shit, that's what I've been thinking about for the past year, or wow, it's all about this relationship, or it's all about this commitment or this change or this mistake or whatever it is. I think, it's often, it's sort of already bubbling along there anyway.
Apart from people enjoying the show and having a good time, what was the more interesting feedback you got about the show?
I think that given that we were so concerned about those moments of pathos and the moments where we became quite honest with the audience and revealed our weaknesses and fears, it was surprising how many people after the show spoke about those moments more than they did particular sketches. And that I found, I was like, really, that's what you came away with? Like, absolutely. But there is a really funny sketch in there about,
right.
I won't say some of this, really stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But no, it was quite often those quieter moments that people went, oh yeah, no, I understand that. And, the overall message was, don't lose contact with your friends, hold your people close. And people really liked that. And I was like, yes, oh, that's really good. That was the bit that surprised me.
That's always nice when you get that. As you know, I worked with Jenny Tian on her later show, and she did her first kind of really rough trial show in like June last year, July, something like that. And, she tried some... You'd be quite impressed with Jenny. She's indefatigable when she's trying new material. If something doesn't work, it's like no matter what she's feeling, there's.
God, I respect that.
She just kind of moves
an open
on.
Book on stage, it's such a disaster.
Oh yeah, I find it to be one of her superpowers. But she had a story specifically about an ex. Once again, I won't go into it because people still have an opportunity to see her touring. But she just read it out as a chunk. She just had it written down and literally holding the paper, read it out. And then at the end, just got the audience to ask questions. And every question was about the story that she read out, and everyone had some firm views. Like they were quite passionate about it.
Interesting.
And so it
Yeah.
was for me sitting in the audience watching to see just what she had at this point was like, oh, this is going to resonate. What, no matter how we present it, no matter how she wants to build it, no matter what we put in between and build on and stretch out, the core part of the story is instantly relatable, and audiences were really responding to it in the moment.
That's so great. I really love that. In fact, it reminds me of on one night, Adam McKenzie did this throwaway joke, really funny, but a joke about him being on meth. I will make it very clear to anybody if they don't know Adam McKenzie. Adam McKenzie has never been on meth. He would never do that.
No.
But we had to say
that's what makes it funny.
That was what made it funny.
Yeah.
But the show was about us honestly revealing our vulnerabilities over the past 8 years and some of the stuff that got to us. I did have really low patches during lockdown. I did convince myself that people didn't like me. I did retreat from everyone.
Yeah.
That's the truth. We established for the audience that when we're talking directly to you, there's a really different mode when we're in sketch mode, and there's a really different mode when we're talking to them. The rule we established that when we're talking to you, we're telling you the truth. So we said to Adam, 2 people have asked me if you were on meth. And he's like, no, it's clearly a joke. I was like, no, because those are the rules of our show. The rules are, if the lights are like this, we're telling the truth. You can't say meth.
No,
it's
mate.
So ridiculous, but you can't say meth because people are worried about you.
Yeah. Oh my God. Suddenly everyone's putting together, GoFundMe to help him go to rehab. Mate, you got to. If you set up the rules, you have to respect them.
Those are the rules, but it was. But once again, that's a moment where we're like, oh shit, yeah, no, because those are the rules.
Yeah, but it also means the rules are working.
The rules are working, but I love a show. It's possibly another reason why I loved Kate's show so much. The rules of her show were, I am telling you the truth, and it is gritty, but it is real. So you sat there going, oh, fuck. And I felt that every single thing that Kate told me was true. I don't care if it wasn't. It was true. And it was wild. And I know that so many shows are not, and they're amplified, and audiences are used to the fact that comedians turn things up and they spin things, but there are certain shows where you go, no, this is the truth, and I'm gonna go with you here.
Yeah, great.
I love those.
Damn, it makes me laugh that Adam just completely forgot the rules and starts throwing shit like that out there.
The joke. It was a great joke.
Yeah, it's very funny. Well, I'm glad that you guys had such a great run. Was you get to the end of a festival, and obviously you said you were sick straight afterwards, so maybe there hasn't been time to even think about this, but did the three of you come away with the inspiration to do this show again, do something new? Is there a plan to maybe catch up in a couple of months and just have a chat and see where you're at, or do you feel like you scratched an itch and now it's time to do something else?
Oh, look, I think it's probably going to land in a mixture of both. I do want to do something else, and I'm working on that at the moment. But at the same time, we have something very good going on, not only for what we do on stage, but as a group of people. When we come together, we make each other laugh. There was one night where we were sitting at this incredible venue in Brunswick called Co-Conspirators. A few people there run a great gig. And on stage, we had a fantastic time. Don't get me wrong, the gig was great. But there was one moment before where the three of us were sitting together and having a drink, and I won't go into it. It was just one of those things. It was just an in-joke. But we were all laughing so much that, you can't breathe for a little while. And it's so rare to find people in your life who can make you laugh that much. There is absolutely something medicinal to genuine laughter.
Yes.
And I think if the dynamics of our relationship are that we have to have a deadline and a festival on the horizon to get together, cool, whatever. Let's not question it. That's what it is. But that is also that is maybe just then what we need to do, because I think it's good for our health.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And it's interesting, isn't it? There is there are less moments of uncontrollable laughter as you get older. I don't know really what that is. It's because I would definitely welcome them, but they do seem to happen less, and I wonder what that is. Is it too weighed down by everything that's going on? Is it that is there a percentage of cynicism with everyone that you communicate with, that even when they say something that's really funny, you know too much about them, so there's an underlying truth, or do you know what I mean? Like I don't know what it is, but it is funny how that just kind of disappears. Tom Gleeson is actually one that when we go out, we still have really funny moments of laughter together.
It's so good. I don't know. I mean, I'm inclined to say that we are more stressed now than we have been for a while. I don't want to say ever, because I know, the world goes in these rhythms, and we ebb and we flow, and we're in a particularly gnarly patch right now. It feels pretty fucking gnarly.
It's felt pretty gnarly for a while.
Yeah, it's really funny. I was listening, it's a random thing, but I sat down and watched the closing ceremony of the French Olympics on the weekend. I just did. And I realized that I hadn't gotten to watch it properly because I'd been working in radio at the time. So it had been on all the screens in the station when I was on, but I was working, so I'd only captured it in glimpses. And for all this time, I've been like, oh man, I've always wanted to go back and watch what they did there, because I feel like they might have done something really special. Anyway, bands like Phoenix and Air basically played this best of the early 2000s. It was just this set. I hadn't heard it because I'd been at the station. It was such nostalgic music for me, in that I was in my early 20s when all of this was happening, when all of this music was on, and I got hit with this feeling, not of like, oh, my early 20s, because I really like my life right now, but there was less stress.
Right.
Like, do you remember back in the day when if there was a political spill in the Liberal Party, we'd all be like, whoa,
yeah,
what's happening?
If anyone noticed a weird edit, then it's because Tegan said something that we decided was going to ruin her future, and we have deleted that. I've cut it out, and I've had to remove it because we realised someone's going to not listen to that closely, and her career would be over. So enjoy the weird cut. That's why it happened. And if you see Tegan, I'm not going to tell you, but if you see Tegan, it's up to her to tell you what she said.
Anyway, all I'm saying is, we were less stressed.
Yeah.
When Listomania was top of the tracks, we were top of the day. And it's a more stressful time. And I think absolutely that could be why we're not laughing as much. But if you find people that make you laugh, you should hold on to them.
I think you also have to, and I think this is something that you, Adam, and Liam. I was about to say Luke. I'm so sorry. As soon as I had Luke in my head, I'm not going to cut that. Liam can come for me if he wants. I think you, Adam and Liam, have this ability to be comfortable being silly together. And when I think about it, I think that's what Gleeson and I have. We are prepared to be silly. And I think that is something that you lose with friends over time. Mickey D and I can be silly together.
Not only in friends, but especially in a festival setting where there's a level of cool to the people who are getting nominated for awards. Like, even if their act is completely absurd, it's like, ooh, they're the cool show this year. We're not cool. We're not the people who, when we walk into, one of the cool bars, people turn around to look at us. They don't look at us, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I say that that's okay really flippantly. There have been years where we've felt that, and now I think we're just a bit old, and in the context of Watson, we're performing for the people who want to come and see us, and we love them, and we have a lot of fun. And that this year worked really beautifully, and I'm grateful as anything.
Yeah. And we also, I think we have enough experience now knowing that awards really only work for the people who have high profiles, who are already anointed anyway. And anyone else who wins awards, they usually, it's nice in the moment. But there's some people that, that for numerous years were nominated and won awards that are no longer in comedy because they can't, because it just never kind of kicked on. So awards, yeah, it's absolutely a very nice thing to be acknowledged. But in the end, if you put on a show and people come along and they have a good time, you've won.
Yeah. Look, it's I can't remember who gave me this bit of advice, but years ago I was told to write down my objectives going into a festival season.
Yeah.
Am I looking to get a good review in the paper? Am I looking to sell this percentage? Am I looking for awards? And I just think if you want to write a show that's targeted at getting awards, there is certainly shows that are more likely to attract that attention. If that's what you're going for, fucking go for it. And I support you in that if that is your goal. But if it's not actually on your horizon, if it's not on your, on your list of goals, it's let it go, because I don't know if I would say they're not helpful at all, but they're not everything.
They're definitely not everything. Like, it's
I would like one.
You can have one of mine. It's done nothing for me. So, I have a level of cynicism towards them. They're very nice in the moment.
I got nominated for a Best Actress award at a small, and I don't want to degrade it, but it was a small web festival for this show I did.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was so happy to get the nomination.
Yeah.
I loved it. It made me so happy.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that.
I went and had a little glass of bubbles at a bar, and I was like, I've been nominated for Best Actress.
That's so funny. That's good. It's a good thing. I will let you go, but I thought I would leave you with something else that I thought would make you very happy. If anyone noticed a weird little glitch again, we had a little tech issue. This wasn't Tegan trying to ruin her career abroad. This was actually
shit.
No, this was just a little technical issue. So we will finish off with this, which is, have you been or seen the new Apple TV series Margot's Got Money Troubles?
No. I haven't heard of this.
It's based on a novel that only came out, I think, in 2024, so it's a pretty tight turnaround. Elle Fanning plays the lead character of Margot, who is a young woman who ends up as a single mum, doesn't come from money, and to make ends meet, sets up an OnlyFans account. And her mum's played by Michelle Pfeiffer, her father's played by Nick Offerman. And it's really well acted, and it's a delightful show. And I've said to you numerous times in conversations and text messages, as Elle Fanning gets older, it's like, man, I can see a resemblance with you. Like, and she pulls faces. And I go, geez, that's Tegan. Like I felt that way in The Great. I felt that way watching Sentimental Value, the Joachim Trier film from last year. Even Predator Badlands. There were times where, in that really fun film where she's playing an android, there were things that she would do, and I'd just be sitting there in my head going, Tegan. Anyway. What's really interesting in this TV show is I don't know how. It could be makeup and everything. It could be just the way they're dressed, etc. But Elle Fanning essentially looks like she could be the daughter of Michelle Pfeiffer. And so therefore, I thought you'd be rapt to know that if you have some Elle Fanning similarities, you must have some Michelle Pfeiffer similarities. So that leaves you in a real middle space of happiness. Put that on a poster.
I will.
Yeah,
looks a bit like Michelle Pfeiffer.
Has some Michelle Pfeiffer similarities. Could be Michelle Pfeiffer's daughter.
For my next show, just all these incredible quotes about my comedy, then just like, has some Michelle Pfeiffer similarities. Yeah. What does that mean? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, maybe you call.
Somebody said it.
That's what you should call the show.
Michelle Pfeiffer similarities.
Has Pfeiffer similarities? Don't even put the Michelle bin. Yeah,
because she's a fierce and wonderful woman.
There is a wonderful moment in this show where the two of them have a really full-on argument, and it's the night of her mum's. The parents are split up, and her mum's getting remarried, and they're in Vegas, and they have a really nasty argument, and I laughed so hard all the way through it because they are both wearing little headpieces that have little dicks on them on springs. And, if you can't find that funny, I don't know what's going to work for
I
you.
don't know what's wrong with you. I'll have to give it a watch. Good rec.
Apple TV has some stuff that I think you would enjoy. Widow's Bay, have you seen that?
No.
Just started last week. It's remember the mayor in Jaws who won't.
Yes.
Yeah, imagine you decided to make a TV show about the mayor, but it's set in a Stephen King story, and it's
That totally
by
works.
yeah, it's Matthew Reese plays the mayor, and it is. I'll talk about this when Steve Mulk is on for our TV chat. But I think you would really enjoy it because it's a little place that's hoping to be like the next Martha's Vineyard, and Matthew Reese's character is the mayor, and he's desperate to get it going. But there is some shocking stuff that has happened there, and there's all this spooky shit, and it's also, and it is creepy, but it's also really funny, and it's created by one of the writers of Parks and Recreation.
Gorgeous.
One of the directors is worked on Atlanta and the TV series version of Mr. and Mrs. Smith and stuff like that. And
cool.
yeah, like not that multi-billion-dollar company that probably does a lot of terrible things in the world needs my backing, but I will say they do put on some good TV shows. What are you going to do?
Apple.
What are you going to do?
What are you gonna do?
What are you going to do? All right. Where can people find you, Tegan?
At the moment, just primarily on Instagrams, on the socials, because I'm working on the new show and it's not quite ready just yet. But I'll be back on stage around Melbourne doing stand up over the coming weeks. Yeah, and I look forward to seeing people there.
And do you have a website?
No.
No. So Instagram would probably be the best place to keep an eye on your stuff.
I'm on TikTok, but I still find it very loud.
I was, I had a meeting with Alex J last week, and I've just had to come to the conclusion that I am not going to do so many of the things that need to be done, and I trust Alex as a comedian and someone who understands comedy, and we were talking about editing some stuff that I filmed and blah blah blah, and she said, we could set up a TikTok account, and I went, I was on TikTok, honestly, for like a rock solid 35 minutes
It's just so loud.
The 35 minutes felt like 9 seconds, and I was absolutely terrified by that. And that was honestly about 9 years ago. Yeah. And I deleted it immediately. So, maybe I'll throw in some extra and she can
take care of the TikToks.
Yeah. As she said, upload, walk away.
Yep, that's very fair. I have to run. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Little pings from the other room.
No. Go. Thank you, Tegan. We'll catch up with you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tegan for being my guest today, and thank you for sitting through a couple of glitches. Well, one wasn't a glitch. Tegan just made a very funny joke that I am not going to repeat, and we figured it would not be a good thing to have out in the world. But I'll be honest with you, it was pretty funny, so you will have to ask Tegan what that joke was, but I will not be repeating it here, and I will not be repeating it to you if you ask me in the real world. I might actually, but, that way I can deny it if you go and then spread it online. But yes, always great to catch up with Tegan. I'm really enjoying her segments and seeing the world of comedy through her eyes as she reintegrates into that world. A few things. If you are in regional New South Wales, I will be touring with Rove McManus next week. Just looking at the dates, I'm in Mudgee on the 12th, Dubbo on the 13th, Orange on the 14th, Bathurst on the 15th, and then I'm performing in an all-star show on the 16th. That's going to be in Orange, and we'll have Mel Buddle, Nath Valvo, and Will Anderson along with Rove and me. So if you are in those areas and would like to come along, head to Central West Comedy and you can find all the details there. I think most of them are sold out, to be honest, but there are some tickets available for a couple. I don't know which ones, but you might still be able to get in there. And if you're already coming along, make sure that you come up and say hello afterwards. Yes, you know what? I'll save it for later, the other gigs that are coming up. But keep an eye out for the Rhino Room on the 5th. We're going to be doing a show there. I'll tell you more about it in the next podcast. But we're doing an Adelaide Stories Day. So that'll be fun. And then, of course, Brisbane in the 18th of June, doing a solo show there. So, there's some live stuff coming up. And as I said, if you sign up for the newsletter, that's the best place to gain access to ticket deals for whichever shows I'm performing at. All right, let's just leave it at that. There's plenty to talk about. I'll be back on Thursday with our next quiz. We have a leader. Someone got 9 out of 10. Yes. A lot of 8s, quite a few 6s, quite a few 5s. Pretty much everyone did better than me. That's what I'm hearing. I know there's a couple that got a 10, but they were a couple. So I'm disqualifying them. Like 10 out of 10 is really good, but anyway, on Thursday, Brian and Coverdale will be back and we will have a new quiz for you. But if you would like to support this podcast, leaving a top review online on whichever platform you use would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for tuning in today, and I look forward to catching up with you on Thursday. Until then.